Republican presidential nominee Mitt Romney's recent comments are raising questions about who pays income taxes in the U.S. Romney's speech to donors at a private fundraiser in May was secretly taped and the video leaked to the press. The GOP candidate stated 47% of Americans do not pay income taxes, and those same people would re-elect Barack Obama no matter what. According to a study by the Washington-based Tax Policy Center, an estimated 46% of American households had no income tax obligation in 2011. And that's because they didn't have enough taxable income after the standard exemptions and deductions are applied. However, even those who don't pay federal income tax pay Medicare and Social Security taxes. Here to provide more insight on Romney's comments is the Oklahoman's Chris Casteel, who joins us from the nation's capital. Chris, thanks so much for your time today.
I'm glad to be here, Dave.
Chris is joining us via Skype from our partners at the Washington Examiner. Chris, how do Oklahomans figure into this equation?
Well, let's look at the taxable year 2010. That was, the year 2010, the tax return you would file in 2011. There are about 36% of the households in Oklahoma that filed a federal income tax return for the 2010 taxable year did not have an income tax obligation, when they got to the bottom line. That was, almost close to 600,000 people, households, I should say, almost 600,000 households that did not have a taxable, a federal tax, income tax obligation that year. That ranked the state 17th in the nation in terms of the percentage of people, 36%, that did not have a federal income tax obligation, and that was actually up from 34% in 2008 when President Obama won his first term. And again, most of those people, I think it was about 4/5 of those people in Oklahoma had incomes below $25,000 for that year. So, that once you apply, like you said, your standard exemptions or your personal exemption standard deductions to that, that gets your income down pretty low. And in that, a lot of, low-wage earners and elderly people and military service people who can apply different credits. So, that's really who we're talking about here. And as we know, Governor Romney linked this subset of people to kind of an automatic voting base for President Obama. We know in Oklahoma that the president did not win a single county, any of the 77 counties in Oklahoma in 2008, and that includes obviously a lot of counties where the average income is very low. So I'm not sure, at least in regard to Oklahoma, that the political calculus he laid out in that in those remarks to the private donors really works. And in fact, I saw a chart that I believe was put out by the Tax Foundation looking at the states with the highest percentage of people who had no income tax obligation and the states with the lowest percentage of people who paid no taxes. And the way it turned out was a lot of the southern states that went for John McCain in 2008 actually had the highest percentage of people who didn't pay any tax. We're talking, like Texas is one of them, while a lot of the states had a very high percentage of people who did pay taxes went for Obama. So, but there have been exit polls showing that, people with lower incomes do tend to vote Democratic. So, but again, it's just not a hard and fast rule, as Governor Romney articulated in those comments.
We are chatting via Skype with Chris Casteel from Washington, D.C. He's in the Washington Examiner's newsroom, our partners out there in D.C. The stats that Chris have mentioned are in his article today. It's in the Oklahoman and online at newsok.com. It's one of the top 5 most read stories on the website today and has over 100 comments, so clearly it's a hot button issue. President Barack Obama has already criticized his opponent for, quote, writing off a big chunk of the country. He appeared on David Letterman last night. Meanwhile, Romney is standing his ground, saying the remarks were not elegantly stated, but he was simply offering an assessment of how Obama was likely to receive almost half of the vote. And in fact, I believe Romney took out a USA Today op-ed. Chris, will these remarks have a big impact on the campaign, or will the comments quickly be forgotten?
I don't think they'll have a big impact, Dave. It seems like the election's really close. Something like 50 days away. from November 6th, but there's so much left to happen in the next 6 weeks. And you're talking about 3 presidential debates, all kinds of just daily campaign events. So it doesn't seem to me like the kind of issue that's going to sway too many people. And in fact, as I talked about, in Oklahoma, I mean, a lot of those people, those low-income people, are Romney voters. So, I mean, I don't think that this is going to offend a lot of them, really. He went on to say that, these same people who don't pay income taxes are dependent on government services, and that makes them dependent on the president. Well, a lot of these people in Oklahoma that are, the working poor or whatever, are not necessarily dependent on government services, and they actually may agree with what Governor Romney said on this. But I just think it's maybe like the comment that Obama secretly made, or was secretly taped making, I believe in San Francisco in 2008, when he talked about low-income people clinging to guns and religion. It was a big story for a few days, and there were ads about it. But ultimately, it really had no impact on how those undecided voters in those swing states went. So I think that will be the same case here. I mean, I think a lot of people are looking to the debates. Those are the really big events that will probably sway one way or another those people who have not yet made up their minds.
Something to look forward to. Chris Casteel, thanks so much for your time today.
Thank you, Dave.
All right, more coverage from the political scene can be found in the Oklahoman every day and online at newsok.com.